Hello, hello, beauty babes. It's your host, Heather, here at the back bar. And today I am joined by none other than Lex with Olympus Beauty Studios. And we're just going to chat about all of the things she's learned along the way because she is like truly building a freaking empire, y'all. So let's welcome her to the back bar. Hi, Alex. How are you today?
Hi. I'm good. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm always excited to share any information just to help somebody. So I'm
Yes,
excited to
and
be
that's
here.
what we're gonna chat about. I'm so excited. So go ahead and start off just for I don't know who doesn't know about you, especially if they're in the beauty and lash industry, but go ahead and just tell us what you're doing currently, and then we'll kind of take a couple steps backwards so we can understand how you got to where you're at and what your plans are for the future.
Yeah, so, well, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Alexis. You can call me Lex. I've been in the beauty industry I want to say like 6 years, but I haven't been a licensed esthetician. I've only been a licensed esthetician since 2019. So I've been doing lashes for a long time. When I found out that it was my passion, then that's kind of when I got the ball rolling into the beauty industry. So I have my own studio. I have a total of 11 rooms at my studio, but I have a total of like 14 renters, I think. That's at the top of my head. I'm counting. But yeah, so I offer lashes is my number one, but my passion is educating. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Nice. So you're currently still lashing though, right? Like for all of your clients, because I know a lot of people once they kind of step into that educator role, they kind of take a step back from lashing. So I always like to ask that of people who are also educators, like, are you still lashing? What do you love about it? Because it helps make it a little more relatable. So right now, are you accepting new clients if anybody sees this and wants to book with you, or are your books closed?
No, so my books are never closed. I always am accepting new clients. I'm still behind the chair. Um, I used to be like, oh, well, I still am a workaholic, but I used to be behind the chair like 14 hours a day. And now as I'm getting older, I'm not able to do that. And so I try to do at least 3 to 4 people a day. But yeah, I have my regulars and I always get new clients here and there. But yeah, I'm still accepting clients. I love what I do. I love trying new things and new sets. Everything's constantly changing in the lash world. So
Yeah.
always new things to try.
Awesome. So before you were behind the chair, what were you doing when that moment came where you're like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go beauty or lashes like full on.
So I worked at the bank. I worked at Wells Fargo for 9 years. I started when I was 18. Reason being is because um, I was pregnant with my oldest. She's now 11. So I needed a big girl job, and that's what I considered a big girl job at the time. So I got a job at the bank. I worked my way up, all the way to assistant branch manager, and I kind of just got to that point where I was trying so hard to have like my own branch, which is like the whole bank. I was going to be the branch manager. Every time my opportunity came, it just wasn't happening, because higher ups had like someone in mind, which typically was a man. So it just was like very demeaning and made me feel like I wasn't worthy when I know I had so much potential to do great things. And I've always had this passion of I want to help people and I want to change someone's life in one way or another. Whether it, when I worked at the bank, it was helping them save, build credit, whatever the case may be. But so I figured like, okay, something needs to change. I'm tired of working, 9 to 6, going home to my babies and then literally having to lay them to bed.
Yeah.
So I got a hobby, which was lashing, and um, banks are closed on Sundays, so literally I didn't have a day off. I worked all day Sunday from 6 a.m. up until 6 p.m., sometimes later. Uh, after I got off work, yeah, after work, I would do lashes like one or two people. Sometimes in between on my lunch break, I would go and do lashes. And that at that point, when I started doing that at the bank, I knew like, okay, I'm done with the bank. This is not what's making me happy anymore. And so once I built up my clientele when I was doing it on the side, I signed up for beauty school and I left my job of 9 years and
That's
started
always
doing.
scary, but
Yeah,
aren't you glad you did it though?
no, I am 1000% so glad I did it just because it's literally changed my life. And for people that think that it's not possible, it really is possible to do anything that you want to do. Especially if you're in a position where you're unhappy, like why do you want to stay in a job that you're dreading to go and work at, when you're constantly wanting to call out? And it's just like, no, just get rid of that and do something that you're passionate about.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And I kind of was at that turning point because I've been a medical assistant for so long. And before that, when I was like a teenager, I got into insurance because that was my big girl job, right? I also had
Yeah.
my daughter super young. And I just was like, I'm tired of it. I want to do something for me. My oldest is grown now. She's finally got an apartment this year. And I was like, I want to do something for me. I've always loved beauty. My mom worked at the beauty counter at J.C. Penney's my whole like childhood growing up. And I was just like, I told my husband, I was like, should I do it? I feel like I'm old to be going to beauty school, number one, because I was in like my
No.
mid 30s, and then I was like, then if I'm gonna do that, am I gonna work for somebody else still and still be
Yeah.
miserable? But like you said, you have to hustle. You're working and going to school, and then when you graduate from school, you're doing your lashes in between your job until you can go like full time. So for those looking to start like going full time and becoming kind of like a renter, I guess you could say, whether it's a
Mhm.
chair, a space, or a suite, what was like your turning point when you knew, okay, I could do this full time? Like, what process did you do in your mind? Did you say, I want to get to this number of clients and then I could afford renting? Like, how did that go? Because you didn't just start out renting the whole space, right? For Olympus,
No,
you started out
no.
small, like all of us
Yes,
do.
exactly. So I actually worked for my house. My husband built me like a little lash room at my house. It was like a little lo it's a little
Oh,
loft.
yeah.
And he painted it pink for me, and decorated it and bought me like a table to work on, all that stuff. So I worked out of there for a long time, and then once I felt like it was hard to separate my home life from my business life, that's kind of when I was like, okay, I'm ready to take that extra step to rent a space, but I knew I didn't want to work for somebody else because that's the
Right.
whole reason I left a corporate job of working for somebody else. I wanted to be my own boss. Um, so I kind of just did my budget of, this is how much I want to spend on a month. And it's always sucks to think like, dang, like I could be putting that money somewhere else, but at the end of the day, when you have your own space and it's just I think it's more professional. That's just me. And that's not me downplaying anybody that worked from home because I did it myself. But at a certain point, if you want your business to grow, I feel like you should take that step. And it's very scary. Don't get me wrong, because you have to think of the location, the parking, the distance for the clients so I live super far from my studio. Like I don't live anywhere close to my studio, but I felt like that was more central for everybody to come to me. I had to think about the cost, I had to think about insurance, I had to think about all those things, but yes, but it was actually the best thing that I could have done for myself. And when I first got Olympus, it was only a two-room suite. And then I slowly started expanding. So first it was me, and then someone rented with me, and then I started. So my landlord, I don't think he understood. Well, I don't think he still understands, but I don't think he fully understood of how popular lash extensions or anything beauty really
Right.
is. Because when I told him like what I do, he was like, "Oh, that's cool." Typical man, but um he started seeing how many people like came in, like how many clients I had and people coming in and out, and he would like come by and he's like, "Dang, like you're really busy. Like people really pay for that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like why not? Like why wouldn't you?" Like it just like clicked in him, and so he was like, "Well, if you're ever looking to expand, like I will 1000% like invest in you." So I was kind of lucky for my landlord that he was able to invest in me to expand my business, you know? And he saw the potential that I brought. He saw that I was a hard worker because once I get something in my mind, I'm like, okay, let's go, 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 go. And I'll I'll try to like I'll set like a timeline like when I want it done and I will try my best to get it there. But yeah, so that's basically how I work. I'm kind of like a go-getter. But yeah, so slowly my space expanded from 2 rooms to 4 rooms to 6 rooms, and then I got a downstairs which has 5 rooms. So that's my story on my studio.
So you're growing. You've got the Olympus Beauty Studios. At what point, because I think all of us in the beauty industry, whether you're lashing or a brow babe or you do skin or you do a little bit of everything, products are such like a huge like sticking point, especially for us in Tucson. Like there are
Yeah.
no beauty stores in Tucson where we can go to buy like our skincare stuff. Like everybody we buy skincare stuff from, we have to do like direct drop shipment. I can't like walk in. Cosmoprof
Mhm.
has a little bit of things, but like nowhere had lash stuff. So what kind of played into you saying, okay, I've got my lash clients, I got the studios, let's think product and let's think product line and private label. Like, at what point did that kind of click for you that you knew you wanted to go in that direction as well?
So it first I only did it for myself. And reason being is because I 1 year Lashbox LA, I was a big Lashbox LA user for those of you that big brand. Um, One time they went through like a whole rebranding, which obviously I didn't know at the time how big rebranding is until I got my own product line. But they didn't have anything. And once you fall in love with a certain product, it's hard to find something else that you're gonna love because you're like, oh, but I know how these work and all of this stuff that comes into play. And so I was like, you know what? Like I'm tired of waiting for these products to freaking go back in stock. So I did my research and I started looking for lashes for me. Like solely, I just wanted them for me to use. For one, so I can save money. Two, I didn't have to rely on anybody else. And then just something that worked for me. Um, it took me a while to actually find the lashes. I didn't find the lashes first. My first official product was my adhesive, which is the Dark Side is my number one.
Use tried and true.
Yes, the Dark Side is my favorite. It was my number one adhesive, my first product. So that's my best seller. But I found my adhesive and then I finally found my lashes. And once I started selling my adhesive first, and having people try it around Tucson just to kind of give me their feedback of what they thought about it, then I was like, oh, okay. So like obviously my whole goal is to help people and make their lives easier and change their lives in one form or way or another. Why not help other lash artists find quality product that I like to use? And so that's kind of how I kind of branched out with my products. So it hasn't
Now,
been easy.
now I know you have tons of digital stuff. Do you have a course or are you going to come out with one that talks solely about like what is it called? Private label and how to do that? Because I imagine it's like tons of different steps you have to go through and you have to find the right supplier and shipping and all of that kind of stuff. Do you have anything, or are you kind of thinking that maybe you might come out with a course for people that are looking to do private label?
So I actually have a course. It's more so it's an online course, but it's also like a live call that I do with people that sign up with it. And we go
Mhm.
over all of the content that I have on the course, follow up any questions that you have about it. It basically talks about how to start your own brand. So it's called Beauty Boss 2.0. I go over literally everything that I went through, things that you want to avoid so you don't have to go through that because it is a headache, especially when you're investing so much money into it and you're trying to find your product because it's not easy. When you're looking for a product, you're literally spending $50 every single time just to sample something. And I can tell you how many times that I've sampled something and it was completely trash. And I'm like, well, there goes $50. Let's look for
Yeah.
something again. So, I tell you my story, what I did to be able to find my product, how you can do that, um, my thought process of coming up with my branding. So, as you guys can see, my branding is based on like Disney and Star Wars. And so it's all stuff that describes me. Like that's just me. I'm a kid at heart. Um, so I kind of walk you through that. You get to ask me questions. All of my trainings too, even if they're online, I'm your mentor for life. So you're always able to pick my brain if you have any questions after. Um, so yeah, so the Beauty Boss 2.0, it is already on sale. So like you can go and sign up. It's 247. And then I included on this one, I include my bag manufacturers, my lash brushes manufacturers that you guys can go ahead and chat with them already. And I've worked with them personally. And then you have an option to add like a glue manufacturer as well that I've worked with personally. And the reason why I don't work with them anymore is just because having so many glues kind of overwhelmed me.
Yeah.
So I only have a total of three. I used to have four, but I got rid of one. So I'm just sticking with three. Those are my three. I'm not gonna
I
add
think
any more.
2 is the magic number. I don't know
Yes.
why.
So,
Like some people like twos and
yeah.
fours.
So
I'm
if
like
you,
3 is perfect.
yeah, no, exactly. And so if you guys want to buy that glue manufacturer as well, you're able to, just an additional fee. But yeah, so I do have an online course that you guys can purchase. And I don't just talk about lash products either. I talk about multiple products, whether you want to do merch, you want to do brows, you want to do permanent makeup, you want to do skin, whatever you're trying to come up with your own brand, that's what we touch base on.
I know that's like one of the biggest things is like when you're new at anything, everything feels like finding a needle in a haystack. So when you can find like these ebooks or online close courses that not just give you like the information and the how to, but also help with the logistics and like the manufacturing part, especially for like private label stuff. I think it's so beneficial. So if you guys are looking to do private label stuff, definitely check out her course because, like she said, she even gives you manufacturers. So you don't have to go through 150 different people to find some reputable ones.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but speaking of Disney, what are like some of your hobbies and what are some of the things you juggle? Obviously, we know you're a mama and a boss babe, but like what are things you like to do outside of work?
Anytime someone asks me this question, I really don't know how to answer it because I feel like my hobby is my work. Just like anytime I have downtime, like if I'm not spending it with my kids, I'm working on something on the back end for my business. But honestly, Disney is like my fun time. When I'm not at Disney, when I'm not at
The
Disney,
next time you're
I
gonna be, right?
am watching Disney movies.
Yeah.
But I like to go to the movies with my kids. That's kind of our thing.
I like doing that too. I try to take each of them out on a date, like a mother-son date and a mother-daughter date. So my daughter's older, so we'll like do nails or like go shopping for stuff. And then with my son, he's really into like sushi, so we'll always get sushi. And he's not like a movie kid, but we hit up like Bookman, all of that kind of stuff. And it's a fun time. I've been finding a lot of us are workaholics in the beauty industry because we chose
Literally.
to be in it because we love doing it, right? And then people ask us about hobbies, and I'm like, if I'm not doing something for my beauty stuff, I'm body doubling and kind of working on my phone while I'm doing stuff out over here. So I always like to see what other people and like how other people answer that because it's very interesting. We all pretty much answer the same, but we judge it up a little differently.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have a life outside of my work other than my family. So
Yeah. Hey, and that's a good life to have. So talking about that, what are some other things that you offer through Olympus Beauty? Whether it's, I know you got your shots background that you just got in, you're very big on like, obviously you've used photographers before, but the self photography bit. What are some other things that people can look forward to or find when they stumble on your account?
I feel like I try to do it all because like once I find something that really interests me, I'm like, I want to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
I offer a lot of stuff. Aside from like lashes and permanent makeup, I do permanent jewelry. I used to do pop-ups a lot, and I kind of just backed away from that because it became a lot because it was like more of a weekend thing. That's kind of when I do my trainings or I spend time with my family. But aside from that, I just recently, like you said, I'm doing the image shots for Valentine's Day. It's just for fun. It just brought me back to when I was like in middle school and I'd go with my friends and we'd take pictures and we would write on the back of them and give them to our friends. And it's funny because I still have,
OG Instagram because
yeah,
we weren't taking selfies back then. We were taking the image shots and then writing captions on the back and passing those out instead of yearbooks. Like I did that so much instead of doing yearbooks, like I did those too, but I don't know, it was just so nostalgic. There's like, I don't know.
exactly. It's so fun too. And then it's just like kind of cringy too to like when me like did them yesterday with Bree and we were laughing because of how cringy like our poses are and doing the whole Charlie's Angels like it was just like dang we used to do that and so but it's a lot of fun and this brings back memories. Um I'm doing that. I do a lot of my content if I don't have something like special that I needs to hire somebody to do it. I do a lot of my photo shoot for my branding myself, which wasn't always easy. It's all about it was kind of like a learn as you go process.
Right.
Um, so I just use my own camera and I don't have like a super expensive camera that I use. I got it on sale at Best Buy for like $500. That was an investment, okay? So that's not like a small chunk of change. That was like, here you go. It was an investment for my business and it's worked out for me. I invested in the backdrops. And literally all of this that I am doing for myself, I want to teach it to everybody else. So that's kind of where my creative content workshop came into play. And
Uh,
yes, it's coming up on Saturday, which I'm super excited for. I usually do about 10 to 15 girls, and I usually have like a guest speaker, and I speak, and we basically just talk about tips that we use, Q&A. I'm going to even talk about how to gain clientele, how to retain clientele, what's worked well for me for the past 6 years. Um, and yeah, so basically that's my creative content workshop came. And then we do a photo shoot. And I also have makeup artists here for those girls that opt in to get their makeup done. Just because I feel like your makeup should be pristine when you're taking photos
like
because
all
it
the
makes a whole, yes, exactly. Um, but yeah, so I do that, and I'm in the process of doing an online version of that, which is called the Mythical Mastermind Pillars. And what that is, it's the creative content workshop essentially, but online version without the photo shoot. But if you decide, if you're local and you decide you want to do the photo shoot, I am offering that you can message me and we can set something up for the future. But I teach you everything that we're gonna go over, how to do your own photo shoots. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna be there. And you have Lash Withdrawal, Andy, coming down for this Saturday. I love her. She is like you. Anytime I see her content, I'm just like, what tip does she have today? I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about that. So I'm super, super excited for that. It's gonna be just a fun like girls' day. Like just hang out,
Exactly.
learn some great stuff, make some besties, network a little bit, have fun. And I will say that's one thing that's really fun about being in this industry is a lot of the time when we're learning, especially in-person classes, if you really are fully present and you're networking and you're taking that opportunity for what it's worth, sure, you're there to learn something that's like being taught, but the friendships or vendorships or relationships that you build to be able to network, sometimes that can be all the difference in growing or not growing. So I'm definitely excited. And I feel like all of us in like Tucson and Arizona, like we're not as close knit as a lot of the lash and beauty people that I see like in Phoenix or Scottsdale or out in California, like, where I have family from, they all know each other and they all go to these education. And so I'm like, I'm going to start doing stuff. That was my business goal for this year was to do more in-person things, go to some trade shows. So I'm super excited
Yeah,
for Saturday
exactly.
because it's
Um,
going to be fun.
it is going to be a lot of fun. It was very successful last time, and I know it's going to be just as successful this time. But yeah, that's one of the things that I want. That's one of the things that I love to do. I like to bring people together because when I came into the industry at first, I didn't have anyone to lean on, which is part of
Yeah.
the reason why I got into the whole educating aspect. So I can help people. I don't want people to struggle the way that I struggled because I feel like if I had a little bit more guidance in my journey, I would have been a little bit further than what I am now. Obviously, everything happens for a reason, and everything happens in their own time. But I most definitely don't ever want someone to feel like they don't have support. And I give guidance to anybody that reaches out to me. If you ask me what glue I use, what lashes I use, or who do you recommend to do branding with, or what do you recommend, who do you recommend I train with? Like, I'm never gonna say take my training. Like, no, you have to find a trainer that you align with, that you connect with. And that's the big piece because I feel like a lot of people result to taking a training that's cheaper, which is fine, you know, but
Yeah.
cheaper isn't always better. And sometimes you don't get all of the information that you fully need from that training. And I firsthand have learned that the hard way, which is why it took me so long to get to where I was at. I self-taught myself volume because in the first course that I took, I didn't learn anything. So it was all self-taught. So I always tell them just make sure you do your research. Don't always go for the cheaper option. Be patient with yourself. But yeah, so these networking events I want to do more of throughout the whole year. And like you mentioned, there's a lot of them going on, like in Phoenix, and California. There's just so many things that are coming out where you can just network with everybody. And that's what I really like how the industry is going to be more community versus you're my competition, which
Yeah.
no one's your competition but yourself. So,
Yeah. Mhm. And I will say too that trying to do things like you said, and not necessarily the cheaper way, but like the easier way, only hurts you in the long run because, like, for example, in beauty school, we were taught the basics for lashes. And then I got out and I started doing lashes, and I was like, there's so much, like, I'm missing something. Like, it cannot be this difficult. Like, what do I have wrong? Oh, humidity. That's a huge thing. You need to have all of these things line up, and you have to make sure that, like, certain things fall in place. So, I also wholeheartedly agree. Like, you have to find a trainer or trainings online that you align with, but also education should always be considered, like you're saying, an investment, or buying equipment, it should be an investment. Because if you take the $77 training from somebody that's not well known, that you can't see their track record of how long they've been in there, you're going to waste more time on clients, on your marketing, because you're going to have bad retention. Your photos aren't going to look the way they need to earn you business, so then maybe you start running ads and then that costs you money. Like, it's just a compounding effect. So I agree with you completely. Like, find people that you align with, whether you're taking their online stuff or not. And kind of like I talked about when I was looking at like renting, what other amenities come with that training? Like you said, lifetime mentorship. And I will speak to that. Like, anytime I message Alexis about any random thing, whether it's something funny or I have a question, like, hey, do you happen to have sensitive glue or whatever? She's like super responsive. So I appreciate that very much, because there are sometimes people when I'm like, hey, about that brow lamination, X, Y, and Z, how do you do this? And then I just never get a response. So try to not look for trainings based on price, but based on like everything that they offer is like my biggest advice. What are some takeaways that you've learned? Let's say three takeaways, like hard lessons that you kind of want to bring to the forefront of like, hey guys, this happened to me. So to avoid that, here's some three free takeaways on going solo and just learning to juggle it all. Like, are you super organized? Is there like a technique you use to keep your calendar and all your dates? Like, give us some takeaways.
Okay, so some takeaways. So I will tell you guys right now, my life is always chaotic. So that's just my life and I've accepted it. So I just roll with it.
Right.
But as for organization, I'm not the organized person. My husband actually is the one that keeps track of all of like my financials, my like my God, my expenses, all of that stuff, he does that. So I don't even do that. So when it comes to that, I do recommend doing like a Google spreadsheet where you're tracking like your daily income and put 10% of that away from taxes, because taxes for small businesses is just horrendous. Okay.
Yeah.
I firsthand have experienced that. So just be smart and save 10% of your income every week. And that Google Doc will really help you because it already calculates it for you in there. And that's how much you would take away from your income.
Yeah.
Um, so another takeaway would be making sure that you have some type of savings account. Okay. Us as small business owners, we don't get PTO or sick time or vacation time. So you always want to be prepared for anything. I recommend at least minimum 1,000. Okay. So in case something happens or in case you want to take a training, you can use that for that. So always have some type of savings. I learned all of these the hard way, okay? All of them the hard way.
I'm
Reason I
learning that
save,
right now too. That's why I really wanted to pick your brains about these takeaways, because it is hard. Like, I opened a business account, but money right now goes in just as fast as it's coming out for products and other stuff. And then, like you said, training. So this is a good tip. Go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to hype you up because it's stuff that I wish somebody would have reminded me. Like, sure, it's common sense to put a savings away, but break down why it's so important and a way to be able to do that.
yeah, for sure. So like going back to like keeping track of your income and saving 10% for taxes, the way that I learned the hard way is my first year of filing as a business owner, I owe $10,000 to IRS. You don't want that to be you, right? I don't have $10,000 lying around. So just save yourself that and just save 10%. It can be as little as $20 if you guys don't want to save the 10%, but at least we'll have something. The savings account, I actually have like a free like little savings thing that you guys can go to my Instagram and the link in my bio, and it will send you like a little fun way to save $1,000 in 30 days. So you guys can go check that out. It's completely free. Savings account, super important. Um, I would say like my third tip, it would be to invest in your education. Um, like I said, everything is constantly changing in this industry. There's new techniques. Everyone has a different technique. Every trainer teaches it a different way.
Right.
So maybe one way doesn't work for you, you can learn from someone else and it works better for you. Um, but there's things always constantly changing. If you took a training, say you've been a trainer like me for 6 years, and the last training you took was 5 years ago, you need to take a training. I would say every single year, at least invest in one training, whether it's in person or online. And nowadays, online is becoming more and more popular. So they can be as little as $100 or $50, whatever the case may be. But invest in something. Obviously, we have free resources such as like Instagram or, TikTok is a real big one. I'm kind of like on the fence about TikTok because not everything on there is completely true. But TikTok is a free source, YouTube, Instagram, there's ebooks, there's so much things that how you can learn more and better your education. So those are my tips for you.
I agree wholeheartedly, and that's my journey for 2024 with Beauty Buds is to get out in the community more, come to like more of the mixers and events and networking things and workshops and stuff like that, and really take advantage of those things. And it just lets you see what other people like in the industry are doing. And for me, it's always inspiring. Like I went up to Light Heart Lash Academy a couple weeks ago, and just being in there and seeing that, and like even when I picked up like tweezers and adhesive from you, I'm like, damn, she didn't start here. She started just like me in beauty school with a dream of doing stuff. So even if it's just to like draw inspiration to like tell you it's okay, keep your head in the game, because there are definitely hard times, and like you were doing stuff during COVID, and so I agree wholeheartedly with all of those things, and those are all things that are on my Beauty Buds bucket list for 2024. I do want to thank you for being here. You've given us, half an hour of your time, which in a world of business, time is always money. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you to just plug a couple of things. We know you've got your creative content workshop coming up on Saturday. Anything else coming up in the next 30 or 60 days? And you're speaking at ILE, or are you presenting? What are you doing at ILE that's coming up in March?
I'll be there selling my product, but I will also be teaching a Wispy class. So my Wispy Magic class, I'll be doing it there. So if you're attending and if you're not attending, I would highly suggest to attend because this event is not only close to home, but there's people from literally around the world coming, and there's going to be so much education. Basically, I think the tickets are like 495 with a code. You can save a lot of money, which my code is Olympus10 for those of you that haven't bought your ticket. You can get 10% off. Um, but
1 or 2 days.
it's 2 days. And so
Awesome.
you get 2 days of education for basically $500. You can attend all of these workshops, and there's just so much information. You get to network, get to meet new people. So I highly suggest going if you haven't bought your ticket yet.
I was looking at buying a ticket and I was like, oh, because I've looked at some other ones and some can get up there. They can be, like a couple $1,000s. I was like, oh, that one's like 590 or 550 or something. I was like, I can do it. After I get back from budgeting from our Disney trip, that's my next goal is to dump in to be able to go to ILE. I thought it was only 1 day, so now that I know it's 2 days, it's like a couple $100 per day to get so
Yep.
much training. And I think there's like a cocktail party and like a little
Yep.
welcoming swag bag that you're gonna get. So definitely. And what about through Olympus? Do you have anything coming up or popping off in the next little bit besides? I know you just launched the Mythical Masterminds pillars, but anything else coming in the near future?
Well, I just have my image shots going on, so if you guys want to book a session, it's $50, 10 digital images, unlimited poses, unlimited people that you want to join. It's just a really fun thing to do, but as far as like my trainings go, all of my trainings have customized dates. Like I have set dates where I'll do like group trainings, but if someone that wants to do like a more one-on-one, we can absolutely do that. And I have trainings every single month. So whether it's for lashes for beginners and advanced, or it can be permanent jewelry, which I do have a permanent jewelry. on the 3rd of February. And then brow lamination, permanent makeup. So I always have those things going on, but if you guys have any questions about them, you guys can feel free to reach out to me. Um, but one more thing that I do want to touch base on. So, real quick, I recently went through getting my educator's license, so and my instructor's license, I should say.
I saw
Um,
you passed your practical. Did you have to do a written too?
yeah, I have to do a written, which is like my worst. Like I
You
suck
got
at
it.
written,
You
anything
got
written.
it. You got it.
Um, just from being there, being with the students, a lot of the things that I feel like people that are still in beauty school, you need to start your business while you're in beauty school.
Yep.
If you wait until after beauty school, I cannot tell you the number of times I have seen people quit. You literally spent
Mhm.
$10,000 to throw away for you not to use it is just kind of mind-blowing to me. And the sooner you start your business and building your clientele, whether it's you doing a student discount of $25 for whatever service you're doing, at least you're building that up. So by the time you get out of beauty school, you can get right into it. Because when people don't do that, they're like, now what do I do? Like, do I go by myself? Do I go work for somebody else? I'm not getting hired anywhere. I'm just going to go back to my 9 to 5. But the whole reason you came to beauty school was to do your own thing. So that's just my advice to anybody that's in beauty school. Start when you enroll.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. I feel like that also kind of helped me. I had to take a little bit of a break because we had some sick family members and stuff when I started. So I started at TCOV, and that's where I was introduced to you because you came and spoke there. And then I took like a 4 month break, and then they wouldn't let me re-enroll. So then I had to re-enroll with Empire, and I loved working with all of the teachers and faculty there because they really pressed it upon you to figure out what you want to name your business and lock down that Instagram handle. Here's how you can get your website and domain for free through Google for the first year, and then it's $12 a year after that. Like they really helped to press upon us to get the ball rolling. And a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
girls, because I had also done that before I got to Empire, I was like, oh yeah, here's my Instagram. I'm working on my portfolio. And they're like, dang, like, you're like ready to go. I'm like, yeah, when the day I graduate, I want to have already passed my tests and have my license, like, get it application sent and paid for because you don't realize how far that can set you back because now you have your mindset on this name and now you can't use that name because it's already taken by somebody else, so now you have to rethink that process, and then that holds back registering for your LLC, getting your business insurance. So I agree too, and I feel like that really helped me kind of have a better footing for stepping out of beauty school and like being ready to do stuff. So definitely guys, I 100% agree with Lex. Like start building that portfolio, get into the habit of creating content while you're in beauty school so that when you're not in beauty school, you're not like, damn, I should have spent $20 to get a tripod and, a light or whatever. Like, definitely, I agree too. Well, thank you so much, Lex, for being here and for taking time out of your morning. I'm excited to see you on Saturday and do the content workshop. Yeah, so thank you guys for joining us. And if you guys have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the link down below. I'm going to link all of the stuff for Olympus's Instagram and her website. That way, if you want to take any of the trainings, and then I'll also put in the description her code. So if you haven't bought your ticket for ILE, you can use her code to save a little cash. And thank you so much, guys. We are so glad you were here and joined us at the back bar. Until next time, we will see you beauties later. Bye bye.